It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. I'm Zanzi, your Feel Good Breakfast Show, and of course with Health Tuesday kicking off already this morning, we've got something lined up that is just in line with it. Now, it's Africa Vaccination Week, and this is celebrated each year in the last week of April, and it aims to promote the use of vaccines to protect all Africans against disease. Now, vaccines are one of the greatest scientific innovations of all time. It's also helped in halving child deaths globally in the last 30 years. That's halving child deaths in the last 30 years. Today, vaccines protect us against over 20 diseases, and that's from the likes of pneumonia to cervical cancer and Ebola, and that's saving countless lives every single year. So we're joined by our good friend of the show, HIV and infectious disease expert, Dr. Emil Reed, who's here to unpack this incredibly important topic. Dr. Emil Reed, how are you doing this morning, firstly?
Good morning, Rao. Hope you're well, man.
I'm fantastic. You're looking good. Is that your office, by the way?
It's my office, and Einstein as well.
Very nice stuff, man. But look, let's talk about this hotly contested topic over the last 2 years, and let's get educated, because we've spoken a lot about vaccines over the last 2 years, but anyone that still doesn't know or still is wary about the vaccines, maybe you can just shed some light exactly on how it's developed, what kind of time frame is involved in developing them, and maybe just a bit more about it.
Absolutely. Rao, on average, it takes about 12 to 36 months to manufacture a vaccine before it's ready for distribution. So quite a long time. And the reason for that is vaccines are complex biological products with lengthy manufacturing and control processes. The quality control represents, in all likelihood, about 70% of the full manufacturing duration. Successful manufacturing of high-quality vaccines require international standardization of starting up materials, production and quality control testing, and the setting of high expectations for regulatory oversight of the entire manufacturing process from start to finish, all while recognizing that the field is constantly changing. All the components that we need for manufacturing and the processes as well, testing methods, their reagents and standards have to comply with the standards defined for good manufacturing policies. And it includes strong quality requirements, involve ad hoc pharmaceutical quality systems, quality assurance measures and procedures, several quality control at each stage, and an adequate infrastructure and separation of activities to guarantee vaccine identity, purity, sterility, efficacy, and safety. So there's absolutely no reason for people to worry about vaccines being produced.
Yeah, it sounds by the time you actually get the opportunity to take your vaccine, it's obviously gone through such a rigorous process that, I mean, most of these safety steps have already been incorporated and providing you with less worry, I guess. But with that being said, obviously, it's a great idea and a great insight into what they actually are, but maybe you can explain then how the mechanism behind how a vaccine works within the body, because this is something that a lot of people have theories on and you hear these crazy rumors, but let's hear from the expert himself exactly how it works.
Absolutely, and I see all the pictures on the screen, which is, it's amazing. And we need to understand that vaccines contains weakened or inactive parts of a particular organism, and we call that the antigen. And that is the trigger for our body's immune response in order to take place. So newer vaccines doesn't contain these weakened or inactive parts, and that actually contains the blueprint or the so-called mRNA for producing antigens rather than the antigen itself. Regardless of which one it is, what happened is, and what is important is for people to remember that these weakened versions or the blueprint cannot cause disease itself. So people saying that after they had the vaccine, they actually got the disease, that is usually absolutely impossible. So after receiving the vaccine, it will prompt the body's immune system to respond, as if it's actually seeing the pathogen itself. Some vaccines require multiple doses given weeks or months apart, and this is sometimes needed to allow for the production of long-lived antibodies as well as the development of memory T cells. And I mean, we've come accustomed to the fact that antibodies usually protect us against the infectious nature of the organism, meaning that you normally test positive for the disease, whereas the memory T cells protect us in the long run against serious illness, hospitalizations, complications, and deaths.
Oh, well, absolutely love it. Dr. Emil Reed, I can't thank you again for educating us when it comes to vaccines, just in general. And obviously, with it being Vaccine Week, we are prompting everybody and educating everybody at the moment. So don't go anywhere, Mzansi. We will be back with another part of this conversation, debunking some of the myths when it comes to vaccines. Also, maybe encouraging you to get more positive advice when it comes to getting the jab. We'll chat to you soon.
It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Yes, Mzansi, welcome back. It's part two of an incredible conversation and also a celebration of African Vaccination Week, which is taking place from the 24th to the 30th of April. And it's an incredible opportunity to underscore the importance of immunization in saving lives and encouraging families to vaccinate their children against deadly diseases. Now, we are joined once again by a trusted specialist and friend of the show, HIV and infectious disease expert, Dr. Emil Reed, as we continue to unpack this incredibly important topic. Doc, we were chatting about the basics. We were getting educated on vaccines generally, but maybe I can start playing some realistic scenarios, which I think will maybe help Mzansi in understanding more about the importance of this, and especially when it comes to the roles of vaccines, right? They played a lot in preventing deaths since they were initially developed, right? Now, an example is maybe how life would maybe possibly look in today's world without these vaccines. I mean, what sort of world would we actually be living in right now if vaccines didn't actually exist at all?
Well, if one actually looked at what vaccines have done, they've made an enormous contribution to global health. They've already eradicated smallpox and also rinderpest, which is cattle plague. It's an infection that we find in cattle and animals. And those two infections have completely been eradicated. If one actually look at the global coverage of vaccination against many important infectious diseases of childhood, it's been enhanced from around about 1971, and also with the Global Alliance for Vaccination and Immunization in 2000. So polio is another example of a disease that's probably going to be eradicated soon. And for the last few decades, we've been controlling measles very, very well, meaning that measles will probably be eradicated soon as well. And if one actually think about the world without vaccines, and you mentioned earlier that it halved child mortality in the last many years, but the only thing is not everybody have access to vaccines, meaning that last year we still lost about 6.6 million kids due to infectious diseases that could have been prevented through vaccination, particularly when it comes to pneumonia as well as diarrhea. So vaccination for pneumonia, i.e. Pneumovac or Prevnar, and also against certain viruses causing diarrhea like Rotarix, is very, very important. So a world without vaccines would have been a world full of infectious diseases.
Oh, I absolutely love the conversation, and especially when you look at the fact that often we just think of vaccines, and especially a lot of us that don't know about it, we just associate with COVID and then the COVID-19 pandemic. But when I look at some of the stats that I've just seen right now, it's clear to see that it's not just COVID that we are fighting against, but there's a world and a plethora of other diseases that vaccines are really protecting us against. Now, look, we are talking about African Vaccination Week. Why then is it so important to discuss this and also raise awareness around it? Obviously, you've just mentioned some incredible facts on what vaccines have already done for us, but why raise raise awareness now, and especially in this time and age?
Well, we actually raise awareness on a yearly basis. And the slogan that the African Vaccination Week is usually all about is vaccinated communities means healthy communities. Also, life, live for all, vaccines in pursuit of a long life well lived. And annually, we need to celebrate World Immunization Week. And the goal is to strengthen immunization programs, not just in the African region, but all over the world, and also increasing awareness of the importance of every person's right, and particularly every child and mother's right to be protected from vaccination preventable diseases.
Oh, wow.
The aim is also keeping immunization high on the national and regional agendas through advocacy and partnership, and to also promote delivery of other high-impact life savings intervention. So this needs to carry on right through the year.
Dr. Emil Reed, it's always a pleasure chatting to you, and especially when it comes to raising awareness, especially around immunization, and it comes in all sorts and all forms. So immunization literally can save lives, as we've just heard from you. So I can't thank you enough for sharing and educating us, and maybe also assisting many of us in going forward and getting that jab, maybe preventing disease outbreaks, as well as also reinforcing the medium and long-term benefits of immunization. So giving children a chance to grow up healthy, going to school, and improve their life prospects. Now, if you have access to vaccinations, then I think from the rest of the team here, we're definitely urging you to take that opportunity. And Dr. Emil, thank you so much for educating us. And I hope that you can be an advocate and an ambassador, especially for the week ahead when it comes to vaccinations for our country, for our continent, and I guess for the entire world too, man. Thank you so much.
Take care, Raul. Keep well. Bye-bye.
Have a fantastic day, Doc. And again to you, Mzansi, go get yourself protected so you can enjoy the magic of life.